a survey the other day, and I won't name the firm, don't want to embarrass anyone, but it said something like 90% of board members list artificial intelligence as a top 3 priority for 2026.
Oh, absolutely.
It is the centerpiece of the budget. It's the headline of the annual report. It's the thing you have to talk about if you want to look like you know what you're doing.
It's the oxygen in the room right now. If you aren't talking about AI, are you even in business? That seems to be the vibe.
It really does.
It feels like a gold rush, doesn't it? Everyone grabbing a shovel, running for the hills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the twist, and this is why I wanted to do this specific deep dive today. Despite the massive budgets, despite the executive cheering squads, and despite the fact that, let's be honest, the technology is incredible.
It's amazing.
A shocking number of these initiatives are just crashing. And I don't mean stumbling or being mediocre. I mean they are burning cash and producing zero value.
It's the silent crisis happening behind all the press releases. Everyone announces the launch. Nobody issues a press release when they quietly shut the project down 6 months later because it didn't actually do anything.
So we're going to look at why. We're diving into a really provocative article. It was published just a few days ago, February 8th, 2026, by J.D. Parashar. He's the founder and director of Rethink AI.
Right.
The piece is titled, Why Most AI Strategies Fail Before They Even Begin. And I think that title alone, it kind of gives away the game a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. And look, our mission here isn't to tell you which chatbot is smartest or which GPU to buy. Parashar's not interested in that. We're going to look at the structural why. We want to understand the architectural reasons these projects implode so you don't make the same mistakes.
Okay, so let's start with his central thesis because it stings a little if you work in tech. He says the failure is almost never technical.
Right.
It's not that the code is bad or the LLM isn't smart enough.
Right. The code usually works fine. Parashar argues that the original sin of AI strategy, the mistake that dooms you before you write a single line of Python, is treating AI as an IT project.
Hold on, I want to push on that. AI runs on computers, it uses data, it needs servers. Why shouldn't it be an IT project? That feels like the natural home for it.
It feels natural, sure. But Parashar draws this line between IT and business transformation. If you treat AI as IT, you frame it as an automation task. You say, here's a process, make it faster.
Okay.
But AI, at least the strategic kind, is about decision-making. It's about changing how the business generates value. If you hand that whole thing to the CIO or the data science team, you create a major disconnect.
Because the IT team doesn't set the overall business strategy.
Exactly. You end up with initiatives driven by tool availability, not business priority. It becomes, hey, look at this cool new hammer. Let's run around and find some nails.
Instead of, we need to build a house, do we need a hammer?
Precisely. It becomes, look at this cool new software. Let's use it. And that leads to this leadership vacuum. If the CEO or the strategy team says, oh, that's a tech thing, let the geeks handle it, there's no alignment.
It just becomes a side project.
It's a side project. And we all know when Q3 earnings get tight, side projects are the first things on the chopping block.
It's the shiny object syndrome, basically. So Parashar actually breaks this down into 5 specific places, 5 failure points where strategies fall apart. And looking through these, they are painfully relatable. I think anyone listening who works in a large org is going to recognize at least a few of these happening right now.
Oh, absolutely. They're classic corporate traps, just, amplified by the speed of AI.
Is that failure point number 1? No clear business problem definition. This feels like the most common one. The executive walks in and says, we need an AI strategy. Or just, we need Gen AI.
Which is a statement, not a strategy.
Right.
It's a solution looking for a problem. Parashar counters that with the questions that usually go unanswered in that meeting. Questions like, where exactly are we applying this? Why now? What measurable outcome do we expect?
Measurable outcome sounds so basic, but I feel like with AI, people get vague. They say things like increase innovation or boost productivity.
Which means nothing. Boost productivity isn't a strategy. Reduce the time it takes to process a mortgage application by 40%. Now, that is a strategy.
Okay.
Parashar's point is that without that precision, without knowing exactly what dial you're trying to turn AI, is just a science experiment.
And companies don't pay for that.
No, they don't pay millions for science experiments. They pay for results. If you can't define the problem, you can't possibly solve it.
It's like getting in a taxi and just telling the driver, drive fast.
Yeah.
Okay, but where are we going?
And then getting mad when you end up at the wrong airport.
That leads right into failure point number 2. Strategy without readiness. Now, when I hear readiness, I immediately think infrastructure. Do we have the servers, the data in the cloud?
And that's exactly where most people stop. But Parashar says that's just technical readiness, not organizational readiness. He argues that true readiness includes things like leadership, AI literacy. In fact, he actually wrote another piece recently specifically about how literacy is the new core leadership skill.
Okay, define that for me. Is AI literacy learning Python? Does the VP of sales need to know how to code now?
No, and that's a common misconception. AI literacy for leadership is understanding what the technology is and, maybe more importantly, what it isn't. It's understanding the difference between deterministic software, where A plus B always equals C,
Right.
and probabilistic AI, which gives you a likelihood.
So if a leader expects the AI to be right 100% of the time because they treat it like
Like a calculator, exactly.
Yeah.
Then they aren't AI literate. And that lack of literacy leads to a culture clash. It also touches on, cultural openness to data-driven decisions. If you build this brilliant AI that gives great recommendations, but your culture is based on hippo decision-making, the highest paid person's opinion,
right, the boss's gut feeling.
and the AI contradicts the boss's gut feeling, what happens?
The AI gets ignored. The boss says, I don't trust the black box.
And the system gathers dust. Parashar says that ignoring the culture leads to internal resistance.
Yeah.
You build it and nobody comes. It's a huge, huge money pit.
Okay, let's move to failure point number 3. This one I have seen in the wild, and it is a mess. Siloed initiatives.
The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is automating.
Right. This is where marketing is building a customer bot, and operations is building a supply chain predictor, and HR is doing something else with resumes.
And none of them talk to each other.
Nothing.
Parashar introduces a term here that I think is just brilliant. We talk a lot about intelligence amplification, right? IA, that's the goal. But when you have these silos, marketing doing one thing, ops doing another, you don't get intelligence amplification. You get complexity amplification.
Complexity amplification. That is such a sticky phrase.
Yeah.
But unpack that for me. How does AI specifically amplify complexity more than, say, normal software?
Well, imagine marketing uses an AI to hyper-target customers, and it triples the lead volume because it's optimized for growth. Great, right?
Okay, great.
But they didn't talk to operations, and the ops AI is optimizing for efficiency and keeping inventory low. Suddenly, you have massive demand crashing into zero product.
So the organization didn't get smarter, it just got chaos, but faster.
Exactly. The silos execute their conflicting goals with more speed and efficiency than ever before, which literally tears the company apart. You create these conflicting outcomes, you get redundant investments,
Paying for the same thing twice.
paying twice, and you create data silos where you can't even get a clear picture of what's going on.
That makes a lot of sense. You're just accelerating the confusion. Okay, moving on to failure point number 4. Unrealistic expectations. Or, as I like to call it, the where is my money problem.
The quick win fallacy. This is where leadership is pressured to show immediate ROI. They invest in Q1 and want to see profit by Q2.
And Parashar's point is that's just not how this works.
No. He explains that strategic AI provides compounding value over time. It's a J-curve. The early phases aren't about profit. They're for calibration, for learning, for integration. You often see a dip in efficiency at the very start because you're teaching the system and the people.
It's like training a new employee. They slow you down before they speed you up.
That is a perfect analogy. If you fire the new hire in week 2 because they aren't faster than the senior manager yet, you've just wasted all your hiring costs.
Right.
If companies pull the plug because they didn't get a quick win in 3 months, they kill the program right before that compounding effect even has a chance to kick in.
You have to have the stomach for that learning phase.
You do. And the market often doesn't reinforce that kind of patience.
Okay, the final one. Failure point number 5. Absence of governance. Now, usually when people talk about governance, it sounds like the Department of No.
Right.
It sounds like compliance just slowing things down.
And Parashar flips that frame entirely. He doesn't frame governance as just being nice or, following regulations. He defines responsible AI as strategic risk management.
What's the distinction there? Why is it strategic?
Well, think about the risks. Brand risk, compliance failures, trust erosion. If your AI hallucinates and promises a refund policy that doesn't exist, which happened to a major airline recently,
Got it.
or if it shows bias in hiring that gets you sued, that isn't just a technical glitch. That is a full-blown brand crisis.
It hits the bottom line.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Parashar's point is that governance isn't a bolt-on. It's the guardrails that keep the car on the road. If you don't have guardrails, you can't drive fast. You'll be too afraid to even deploy. So a lack of governance actually kills speed in the long run.
So we have these 5 points of failure. No problem definition, no readiness, silos, unrealistic expectations, and no governance. It's a bit of a grim picture.
It is.
To wonder any of these projects succeed.
Well, most don't. That's the whole premise of the article. But
Yeah.
he doesn't just leave us in the wreckage. He does offer a solution.
He does, and this is the pivot. He says we need to shift from adopting AI, which sounds like just picking something up, to architecting intelligence into the organization.
I love that word choice. Architecting. It implies a much more deliberate structural approach.
Yes.
You don't adopt a foundation for a house. You architect it.
So he outlines a 5-step framework for CXOs, for executives, to actually do this. Let's walk through that, because I think this is the how-to part our listeners really need.
Let's do it.
Step 1 goes right back to the beginning. Define the business objective. Identify specifically what decision or process has to get better. Not, we want AI, but we want to reduce supply chain forecasting error by 10%.
Specificity is key. You have to know what better actually looks like.
Step 2, assess organizational readiness. We talked about literacy, but how does a leader actually do this?
You have to look in the mirror. It means evaluating leadership's own understanding, not just the tech specs. Do the leaders know what they're asking for? Are your processes mature enough to even be automated?
Right.
If your process is broken manually,
How?
automating it just makes it broken automatically.
Step 3 is design AI as a system. This gets at that silo problem we were talking about.
Right. Ensure cross-functional integration. You have to design the data flow across the whole business. If marketing generates the data, can sales use it? Can product use it? You have to break the walls down before you pour the digital cement.
And step 4 matches the governance failure. Embed governance from day 1.
From day one is the critical part. Don't bolt it on later. Include your ethical guidelines, safety checks, accountability structures right from the beginning.
Because if you wait until deployment to think about safety, it's
Too late. It's expensive to fix a foundation after the house is already built.
And finally, step 5, build for learning. I love the quote he uses here. Organizations that learn faster win faster.
That is the core mindset shift. An AI strategy has to be iterative. You put it out there, you see how it interacts with the real world, you learn, and you improve. It is not set it and forget it. It's a living system.
You know, when we look at this framework, it really connects to the broader work Parashar has been doing. It seems like all his writing is pushing against this idea of plug-and-play AI.
Absolutely. In fact, he has another article explicitly titled, Why Plug-and-Play AI Never Works in Real Organizations. He is just constantly hammering home the point that you cannot just buy a box of intelligence and plug it into a dumb organization.
That's a harsh way to put it, a dumb organization. But it makes sense. Intelligence isn't a utility like electricity.
It's not. Electricity works the same in every building. Intelligence strategy, that's context-specific. Parashar's own consultancy, Rethink AI, explicitly states they don't sell tools. They focus on AI-integrated business branding and organizational readiness.
Which is interesting, right? An AI consultancy that doesn't sell code. They sell the mindset.
Because they recognize that AI is now a branding and leadership decision. If you look at his February 10th article, Why AI is Now a Branding Decision, Not a Tech Choice, he argues that how you use AI defines your company's identity. It's not just back-end IT plumbing anymore.
Right. If your AI is helpful and smart, your brand is helpful and smart. If your AI is annoying and intrusive,
Then your brand is annoying. It's the new face of the company.
So if we zoom out, what does this all mean for you listening? Say you're a mid-level manager, or maybe you're sitting on a board and you're in a meeting tomorrow where someone says, let's just buy this tool and solve everything. What do you do?
It means you need to be the person in the room who raises their hand and asks the uncomfortable questions. Parashar's work gives you the ammunition to say, wait, is this a tool in search of a problem?
Be the friction in the room.
Constructive friction. You have to be the one to say, stop buying tools in search of a problem. Let's start with the business problem and make sure the culture is actually ready for it. You have to treat AI as a long-term architectural change.
The aha moment for me in reading all this was really this distinction he makes. Successful organizations aren't the most technologically advanced.
That's the key. They're the most strategically aligned. You can have the best tech in the world, the fastest chips, the biggest models, but if it's not pointed in the right direction, you lose.
That is a huge distinction. AI amplifies leadership judgment. It doesn't replace it.
Exactly. If the leadership judgment is flawed, the AI will just execute those flaws more efficiently. And that's a sobering thought, but it's also an empowering one.
It puts the responsibility back on the humans, not the machines. We can't blame the algorithm if the strategy was bad to begin with.
It does. And I want to leave you with Parashar's closing thought, which I think is just fantastic. It sums up the choice leaders have right now.
Let's hear it.
He asks, the question is no longer whether to adopt AI. The real question is, are you architecting AI to fail or to lead?
That really is the question. Are you building a house, or are you just buying a really fancy hammer?
Ideally, you're building the house. But looking at the stats, a lot of people are just holding hammers.
Well, we hope you're building the house. Listen, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It's easy to get swept up in the hype, but hopefully this gives you a bit of a blueprint to look at your own projects through that architectural lens.
Always a pleasure.
Check the show notes for the link to the Parashar article, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.